Hello and welcome to the purchase order walkthrough. So I'm in a completely brand new account. I created one project and I have quotes inside, and we'll go and look at the purchase order. How do you create them, and how they works really. So let's go to the projects. I have a project here, and I have some quotes. I have one that's won and one that's open. For the sake of this example, let's go to the open one and see what's inside. So I have some materials, and I have here what's called a supplier or a subcontractor. In that case here, it's a supplier. It's for some scaffolding for that particular work item. To create a supplier line, you use the little guy icon there in the bottom, and you'll be presented with that screen. So you can put the description, you can put the supplier, but it's not required, and you can put the cost and the selling price. And this is what's gonna create your purchase order once that quote is won. So if you click on yes, you want to create a purchase order, it's going to go ahead and create a purchase order for that supplier with that line item, which is scaffolding inside. So you can put like the description here, so you can put like 10 feet up, I don't know, 20 feet wide or something like that, right? You can create whatever you want and describe whatever you want in there. So when the estimators are actually creating their quotes, they're actually building what's needed to put the project in production too. So that's really quick when you actually want to move that quote into production. So let's save that, and let's say I send an email to my client, and the client accepts and everything, and now the quote is won. So when the quote is won, the purchase order will be created for that quote. If I close the quote here, you'll see that I have a purchase order for Lutech, and if I go inside, you'll see that I have the scaffolding 10 feet 20, and it's for the cost price that was inside, so for $400. So I've created that. All the information is there. Even here in the details, I have the project information for the that's coming from the quote. So this is neatly done, and now I can send that directly by mail to my supplier so that I can put in the order inside. So this is that. The order that's going to be printed for the purchase order will use the address of the project, so you don't have to remember that. You can put special instruction and all that in the details there. You just click on the edit button here, and you can change that here. So this is how you send the purchase order. You can create also purchase order for different. So this is a purchase order that's coming. That's for a supplier of services. Let's say in that case scaffolding. But you can create a purchase order for your actual materials that you add on your quote. So you click here, and you'll be presented. You click the plus, and you'll be presented with a dialog here that asks you to choose the material from your project, right? So in that case here, there's no supplier recorded for those materials, but I can click on those and have the system create a work order with those materials there. If you have an inventory or a stock or something like that within your warehouse or something, you can create a purchase order as with a supplier, with your company as a supplier. You can also create a mini purchase order by supplier, so it's one purchase order by supplier. So you can create as them as you go. Really, it's really nice to do that. So this is what we have on the project here, and I can send that. As I said, when you send it, you can put it as there's a different status, as sent, as cancelled, cost assign or receipt. So let's go ahead and look at how the costs are assigned within a purchase order. So when you have a purchase order here, this is really like I said to my supplier, this is what I need, and so the cost for your company is actually put forward. So you can already put those as towards project costs. So you have two ways of doing that. So you have the suppliers, or you have the suppliers materials. So the suppliers here, that line here in the project cost is actually coming from the purchase order with a direct supplier on it. So in that case here, the estimation is coming from the quote. We had $400 as suppliers on the quote, and we have zero here in the real because we did not add the suppliers the purchase order as an assigned cost here. So let's open that, the LUTEC here, and we can say we received that purchase order. So you receive that. We received the scaffolding one, and then we can even put like a picture of the delivery slip. We can put a note, and here it says, do you want to assign the cost to the project? And you click yes and save. And then this is going to create an order reception in there, and you'll be able afterward to see that inside your project cost in the supplier here. So the $400 is assigned to the supplier in there. So now you have a real neat project cost that gives you all the details. The same goes for the supplier materials, but what you can do in there is that you can have like the supplier actually deliver the materials uh, uh, just in time. So each day they can deliver something else from the big order that you had in the purchase order. So let's do that now. So you have the order reception. Again, you do click on receive, and then let's say I receive all the starter strip, but I receive only 30% of that, and I receive zero of that. So I can just pick up what was delivered that day based on the delivery slip and anything like that. You can even put the picture there. And then I sign the cost again, and then when I click save on that, it's gonna assign those costs, but not the complete purchase order cost, but only the received quantity that was received in there. So now if I go back here, you'll see that the supplier materials here, you don't have the total value, you just have a small value of those assigned. So this is how you actually track the materials toward throughout your project, throughout the deliveries, whenever you receive them. So this is really nice, and you can now have a project because that's really similar to the actual cost that you've put forward. So okay, now you can also look at the different purchase order here, and sometimes you have some that are cost assigned, some that are not cost assigned. It's really depending on how you work, and you can have both of them or all of them cost assigned, all of them not cost assigned. It's really depending on how you work and how you want to assign your different costs to your project. Okay, so purchase order, to quickly resume, it's a way to order the stuff, order your material, order your supplier, and it's a way to actually acknowledge the delivery of those materials and suppliers, and also it's a way to assign cost to the project. So those three things are what the purchase order are used for, and this is really powerful tool once you get the hang of it. So please have a look and work with it, and if you have any more questions on that, click on the chat icon here at the bottom, and our support team will be really helpful to help you on how to use that for your company.